Everybody, welcome to another creative coffee break. In this video, I thought I would stick with drawing as a topic. So last week we were drawing on paper that we had toned with graphite, and I showed you how I drew a wobbly knobbly pumpkin. And this week I thought we'll stick with the idea of drawing skills and practicing contours with a type of drawing called touch contours. So you might be familiar with line contours where you don't look at your paper at all, you just look at what you're drawing and you try to trace its outline. Or you might be familiar with the idea of continuous line drawing, which is a type of contour drawing where you're allowed to look at your paper, but once you put your pen on the paper, you never pick it up. Touch contours are another type of drawing exercise, and it's all about helping us get in touch with shapes and shake off the feeling that we have to draw everything perfectly and accurately, but instead try to draw the little bit more expressive line, and have some fun and have some play. So especially if drawing is something that your gut impulse is, I can't draw, these are exercises that help you get started. And so I'm going to be drawing today in a sketchbook with some pencils. And so let me show you what I've got here. I am drawing today on a watercolor sketchbook. This is Canson XL paper. I'm not going to lie, it isn't my favorite paper, but it's really affordable paper and it does stand up to watercolor. So it's one that I keep around for playful sketches and practice sketches. And I'm going to be using water-soluble pencils. So these are some Inktense pencils, which I absolutely love. They're incredibly vibrant colors, and they are similar to a watercolor pencil, except they're an ink base. So watercolor pencils are pigment based, and with watercolor pencils, once you put them down, if you add water, they'll move around and they'll always keep reactivating. Inktense pencils, supposedly, once you've added water, they're permanent, but if you use them really heavily, they will actually keep activating. So what I'm going to do here today, I'm going to just pick out a few colors that I particularly like. And if you don't have watercolor pencils, that is totally fine. You can use regular pencil, you can use pens, you can use whatever you would like. There's sort of no right or wrong way here. And all I would suggest is to have multiple colors, because we're going to be doing some layering. And all right, so I'm going to pick four colors and put the rest away. And I have genuinely put very little thought into this. My four colors that I have picked here are deep rose, mineral blue, Indian black, and iris blue. And the reason we want multiple colors, we're going to do some layering today and layering of line drawings, and it's just fun to have different colors. But if you don't have different colors, don't worry about it. You can use literally whatever you have. For me, Creative Coffee Hour is a great time to use some of the supplies that I have and enjoy, but don't use as much as I wish that I did. And my Inktense pencils fall into that category. Um, so anything you have will work. If you have crayons, kids' markers, whatever you've got, that's what you should go with. So what I like to do for a touch contour is I'm going to close my eyes. And the reason it's a touch contour is I'm going to be doing a sort of self-portrait, a picture of myself. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to trace the contours of my face and my features. And with my left hand, I'll feel my face. And with my right hand, I'm going to just draw the shapes that I feel. So hopefully with my two camera angles here, you're going to see what I mean, that I'm feeling with my left hand and drawing with my right hand. And I'm just going to kind of start in the middle of my page, and I'm going to start in the middle of my face effectively. I'm going to start with my lips. It's not quite the middle of the face, but close enough. All right, here we go. Okay, so here we can see my first touch contour. And as you can tell, well, hopefully you can see from what I was doing as I felt my way around, I didn't do my whole face. So I did my lips and then I kind of moved up to my nose and came around that kind of point of my nose and then over to the side of my face and up to my eye. And I haven't made a drawing that looks like me, and that wasn't the point. But the point was to go really slowly and try to link up what I felt with my left hand with what I did with my right hand and just see what kind of fun and interesting lines I could make. So, what I'll do with this next is I'm going to keep going, switching colors, and I'm going to try to start in roughly the same place each time, which I think was here, and just continue exploring with different colors over the top of this. And I'm going to go ahead and do four because I picked out four colors and see what kind of interesting lines I end up with when I'm done. So now that you've seen with one camera angle how I was doing this, feeling my way around, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my other camera angle where I think you'll be able to see the drawing part a little bit better, and I'm going to keep going from there. All right, so as I said before, I'm going to try to start in the same place, but I'm going to try to continue exploring different parts of my face and just again closing my eyes so I'm not looking at all at what's happening on the page. I can't really talk while I'm doing this. I can't narrate the way that I have my other videos. Um, so I'm gonna just put on some music for you. And the key thing, and I hope you can see that here, is that I'm moving slowly. This is a great way to just slow down. So, all right, here we go. Contour number two. Okay, wow. So there's my second contour, and boy, did that go in a fairly wild direction. So it might be hard to tell what I was um, exploring there. I started from the center of my lips and went up to my nose, my nostril, and then came around and was feeling my way up the kind of ridge of my nose. And then I came across to this was my eyebrow and my eye. And I was feeling my cheekbone back down to my other nostril and then down to my chin and jawline. So things have gone kind of wild here. It's interesting. I have noticed, having done these many times, that I'm a lot more comfortable moving my left hand from right to left um, and so that time I was moving my hand from the center of my face to the right, and it's like I got all confused. How fascinating is that? All right, let's go again. So I have another color. I'm going to go ahead once again. Something that some artists do is they actually put like a little sticker or something that they can feel somewhere in the middle of their page as like a wayfinding point, but I don't know. I like to let the lines just kind of like go crazy. So, all right, I'm going to go back to the middle and I'm going to kind of move uh, my left hand to the left again. So we'll kind of alternate and just see where it goes. All right, so that time, this pencil, it's funny, it's a really dark pencil, and yet the line has come out really light. I said I was going to go to my left again, but I sort of didn't. I went all over. That is kind of a thing that happens with this sort of drawing. Um, and just sort of let my pencil wander. So I started again at my lip and went to the left and came down around the chin and sort of made my way back up to the eyes and did try to get kind of both eyes in there. Okay, so this is very intriguing. I'll try to draw the last one darker. One thing I don't know if you can tell, but I'm trying not to be all wristy about this, but that I'm trying to really move my arm pretty freely. And in fact, for this last one, I'm gonna try to hold the pencil back further and really, it's difficult because I'm sitting down and that's the best position for me to be recording this in. It would be a little easier if I were standing at an easel, um, to get my arm free, but it does make a huge difference for your lines if you can try to like get that arm. involved and not just your hand. So, all right, last one. Once again, starting here in the middle, and I'll try to press a little harder and get a little bit of a darker line so it shows up for you. All right, so that is my final contour. And what a strange drawing I've wound up here. So what I did that time, I went up from the center of my lip up to my nose. Boy, I feel weird things when I explore that as a touch contour. Um, I came up to the space between my eyebrows. This was to be my eyebrow, and then kind of that brow bone underneath, and then my eye. And then I traced back up my forehead and tried to get my hairline, and then coming down back into my cheek and down to my chin. So I'm, trying to explore all the different aspects of the face. And obviously, this is not a portrait that looks like me. No one is going to think that this looks like me. And yet, there's things in it that the lines feel very authentic and honest to me. That's the best way I could put it. Um, because these are watercolor pencils, I can now move some of this around and just make a really interesting abstract painting of a face. So let's see how we're doing on time. Yeah, I think we have a few more minutes before our 30 minutes for today is up. So why don't we just, continue our creative play here? This is the joy and beauty of Creative Coffee Hour, is that it's a great time of just experimentation and um, just free expression, right? I'm not usually very much of an abstract artist, but it can be so much fun to let go of the need to make a painting and instead just play. So I'm gonna try here. As you can see, the water I've got here is a little bit dirty. Um, and I was using this water the other day and was very bad and lazy and didn't empty it out. So I'm gonna just bring some water into some places and just kind of move that line around. So I was just listening to a podcast the other day. I was talking about how if you put in the shadows in 5 parts of a face that the face will start to appear without anything else. And I found that concept pretty fascinating. I am not a figurative artist by any stretch. Not a. I don't do people, right? I do mostly landscapes, but I do love to just stretch my skills and work on developing different skills. And so I just found this concept fascinating. Basically, what the artist was saying is that if you do the eye sockets, the shadow under the nose, the shadow between the lips and under the lower lip, and then under the chin, um, the face will start to take shape. And so that's what I've just done here with my water, is I just started to lay in some tone, and now I'm just bringing in the pencil right into the wet. So I'm not trying to make this. I mean, this is not the right. I haven't worried about measuring. I'm not worried about. I'm no longer. This is no longer a portrait of me. It's just a face. Um, Maybe it started with my face, but it's not about me anymore. And these eyes are very high up compared to everything else, but that's okay. Let's just just let's just play. That's what playing is all about. It's turning into it's a very round face. I don't think my face is this round, but just testing out the theory that if we put the shadows in the right place, it's going to start to look like a face. I don't know. Add some more water in there. So these Inktense pencils, as I said, they're so vibrant. You can get them in the form of paint pans, which I do have. Um, I kind of like. Now I'm just like sloshing water around everywhere. Um, I really like the pencils, probably a little bit better than the pans. Um, just, I guess the pans, they look like watercolors, so you kind of want them to work like watercolors. And then, boy, that nose is so crooked. What am I doing? Here, here's a beauty of water soluble pencils. You can make a lot of that disappear. They don't erase, but they smudge. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, so the Inktense, if you expect them to work just like um watercolors, that you'll be kind of disappointed because they aren't. They don't behave like watercolor. And with the pencil, right, I'm not expecting them to be like watercolor, and then I'm not disappointed. All right. I've lost some of the magic here. I I think that again, the fact that I'm sitting, and normally when I'm sitting, I would have my paper at an angle to compensate for the flat surface, which of course I don't have here because I'm trying to give you an angle where the glare is not making this impossible. Well, we'll just just keep going. It's kind of demonic. Well, it is. I am recording this just before Halloween. I don't know why I made her eyes magenta. That's creative coffee hour for you. And here's the danger. This is my perpetual struggle is that when I start fiddling with what I originally had, I start to get a little too like, I don't know, tight, and I'm trying to just draw everything in when the whole point is to just let it flow. So I think I want to not try to not overdo it like this. Maybe I'll make her eyes a little less demonic. Maybe a little better. Right. I am not, maybe you can tell, I'm not thinking too hard about what I'm doing. I'm just kind of going with it and having a little bit of fun. Bring some more of this shadow down here. And I think what she needs is some lovely flowing hair. So I'll kind of course, if you saw me, I have short hair, so this is really not me anymore. Well, oop, splashed ink tints all over my desk. So if you are looking for a way to really make the most of a short amount of time, I do have to say these like drawing tools that are water soluble. So Inktense pencils, um, Neocolor 2 crayons, which are water soluble crayons, watercolor pencils. Um, for making finished artworks, I think watercolor pencils are actually super slow. Um, but for this kind of play, they really are they really are quite good. All right, get a little bit more shadow in here. Mhm. I should have left more of a highlight on the nose, but noses are tricky, you know? And my usual problem of I should maybe have left her a little bit more abstract. That's okay. It's all just play. I'm not going to win Portrait Artist of the Year with this one. But that is fine. All right. I think I'm just about done with this one for today. And The whole thing has loosened me up a little bit and it's got me sort of feeling kind of calm and relaxed, which is always a nice benefit of some creative play is it's so centering, just slows you down a little bit. Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this one right here for today. All right, that's it for another creative coffee hour. I hope you'll give touch contours a try. You don't have to do this with your face. So if the idea of making a bad self-portrait is not your jam, you could really do this with anything that has an interesting shape where you just put that by your non-dominant hand, use your normal dominant hand to draw it. I would still recommend closing your eyes so that you're just purely going by what you feel. And just enjoy the freedom and creative play of it. So give that a try and stay creative, my friends.